Happy Wednesday evening, Blogging411 community. This is the Blogging411 show with myself. I'm Allison Barrett Carter, Nicole Murphy, Randy Brown. Tonight, Blogging411 is all about social media and your blog. Does social media matter? If it matters, which ones matter, how they matter, who you can talk to on social media, and I have a hunch this is going to be a pretty passionate show. So I'm going to throw this over to Nicole and let her introduce herself first.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Nicole Murphy. I am co-founder of the ncblogger.network.com, which is the host of the show. I also blog over at momcomplicated.com. I'm delighted to be here, and I just rushed over because I really, really want to talk to Randy about this topic. I'm very excited.
Great, and I'm Allison. I'm the other founder of the NC Blogger Network. I also am a freelance writer and content marketer and strategist. I've been blogging for 5 years. Allison B. Carter, 2 L's and I, is my URL. And I'm going to allow Randy to introduce himself and allow Randy to start us off this evening.
Okay, I am Randy Brown. I'm a webmaster and a blogger. I've been a webmaster for 7 or 8 years now, and blogging part-time in between then. So when we talk about social media, we're talking about the big three or the big five: Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. I've used almost all of them over the years, and if you follow me on Google Plus, you know that I hate. I don't really like them much because they never really did me much good. I've spent a lot of money in Facebook advertising for my previous websites, and they never got me the results that I wanted. And the results that I wanted were to drive traffic to the website. I sell advertising on the websites, and basically end up making money. One thing that I did like about Facebook years ago that I noticed is that the people that did come to the website had a real high click-through rate on my ads. But the number of people that came was just too low. It never made sense, and that's with several of my websites. Now I've got a newer website, which is a totally different from any website that I've used before. And Allison, are you blue boxed or is that just me?
I'm not. For some reason, it just clicks over to me because I think it likes my face.
Huh. Okay.
But
you look better than I do. So, anyway, this new website. My previous websites, I've got a tech-related website. I've got a one about TV commercials. I've got one about internet privacy. None of those did good with the driving traffic from Facebook, and I don't know if it's because of the audience. I don't know what the reason is, but my newest website, which is called saltandseawalk.com, which is totally different. It's not making any money. I'm not selling any advertising on it. It's basically a blog about a adventure that I'm planning next year to be the first person to ever walk around California's Salton Sea in summertime. So as I've been putting this together, the target audience is way different from many of my other websites. The target audience is probably 40 or 50 years old or older, and mostly local down to the Southern California area and around the Salton Sea. And I found that as much as I hate Facebook and as much as I like to badmouth it, it's actually working very well for this website and this audience, I guess. So I put together some numbers. I started the website just a couple of months ago in the middle of May, I think. And since then, I was active on Google Plus, Twitter, and Facebook, and sharing everything all at the same time. In that time, Google Plus has sent me 112 visitors. Twitter has sent me 154 visitors, and Facebook has sent me 1,809 visitors. So that's a huge difference. So for me, at least this time around, Facebook, as far as driving traffic and getting people interested and engagement, is working really well. Twitter actually ends up working differently. I've gotten a lot of other interaction and actually met people on Twitter, but it hasn't driven a lot of traffic. And I'm just curious. I wonder, because I hear a lot of people talking about Facebook. Are those results typical, of that much traffic and that much engagement, or have I just hit on a certain niche or group of people that that care. I don't know.
Well, I would say, so I have 2 websites that I'm running right now, and both of them the demographic is my demographic. So, mid 30s to mid 40s, moms, interested in, homeschooling and taking care of the house and all that kind of stuff. And Facebook has consistently been our #1 traffic driver, and we've even tried to shake it just because of because of the interaction that I've had with Facebook being a content marketer, and I've been so angry at them for so long. But when it comes to these things, I mean, Facebook is still, big, I don't know, big dog on the lot or whatever. They really do drive the traffic. I mean, and it's not just, it's coming in at Facebook and mobile Facebook. They are #1 and they're covering different spots.
Right.
So,
well, I think it's clear that's where the people are. The people are at Facebook.
Yeah.
We talked last week or the week before about some people being on Google Plus, but the vast majority, Grandma and her cousin and your Aunt Sue and the guy down the street, they're all on Facebook. Google Plus is it's not necessarily a ghost town, but it doesn't have the masses of people that Facebook has. And the same with Twitter. A lot of, I don't want to say everybody's on Twitter, but a lot of people are on Twitter. Different group of people, I think, that probably younger than what are on Facebook. So I mentioned before that Google Plus has driven.
Wait, add something to add about to the. Oh, and I have the clicker. I
don't know if Allison's going to give up post shot now.
Something to add to the Facebook conversation and for people to understand is that Facebook still works, but I'm actually finding that as a blogger who has a creative writing website, and I have 300 some odd followers on my blog fan page or my blog page, I'm getting way more traction when I post to my personal page with my traffic than when I post to my blog fan page. So I'm trying to, I don't know if any other bloggers are kind of deliberating about this or going through this right now, but I'm trying to find that really fine line of understanding that people are my personal friends on Facebook to be my personal friends, but at the same time, they're clicking on my stuff to read my stuff when I put it on my personal page. So it's trying to find that balance. I'm also seeing a huge change in Facebook of people now following personal pages. So I actually have a few followers. I don't know if bloggers understand this, but somebody can be your friend on Facebook or they can follow your profile on Facebook. And what they do if they follow you is they see whatever you make public and you have the control to make some things private. And I'm seeing, again, a huge trend changing towards people following people and then those personal pages then and those bloggers promoting their blog posts. So I do think that Facebook's working, but it seems to be working in a little bit different of a model than it has in the past. And I feel as though people are trying and experimenting now with some of the ways to get stuff out there. Again, I also find a lot of Facebook traffic when I post in groups that I'm in, blogger tribes that I'm in, that's all about linkage. I'm not sure if I didn't do any of that stuff, how much Facebook traffic I would get if I just post my URL to my blog page.
Right. Well, I mean, a good example is the NC Blogger Network versus our Mom Complicated and Go Dansker Mom, right? We post the same things and we'll get a measly viewing on our NC Blogger stuff right now, but yet they'll show our personal blogs, they'll triple the numbers. So say we had 200 followers, they're going to show it, and all of a sudden, you look at those stats, and it's like 467 people saw this post. And so so people are interested in our personal writings because they're about us, they're about our experiences, and they appreciate that we have this network, but they don't click through to that stuff as much because it's work and it's content marketing stuff. And that's why I think the Salt and Sea is working so well. It's because it's speaking to people's interests.
Right. Yeah, they're truly interested in it, and that's why I always had trouble in the past was getting the people to click through to my other websites. They'd like it and click the like button and everything, but no, it was a tiny percentage of people that would actually go to the website, and it's just hugely different now. Now I started talking about Twitter earlier. Twitter only sent about 150 visitors to the website in that same time that Facebook sent over 1,800. But I found that Twitter is a better place, at least for me, and with this time around, it's worked better to meet people or get people's attention. So through Twitter, even though it hasn't driven a lot of traffic, what it has gotten me is 2 filmmakers that have contacted me, and one is making a film about my adventure at Salton Sea. Another one put me in as part of their film, which will be on French television next year. I've had 1 podcast interview out of it, 2 newspaper articles, 1 local ABC television news contact that they may want to do something, and another pending newspaper article. So Twitter, it seems, for getting the media contact or media interested has worked really great for me. But again, it hasn't driven a whole lot of traffic and hasn't gotten me a whole lot of views, but it's working out well for just getting attention.
Yeah, I think so many people use Twitter like a newsfeed source, so that actually speaks a lot, Randy, to what you're seeing. You know, people want to know who the newsmakers are. They want to know what the news is. I just had somebody get onto Twitter for the first time, and they told me, they said, I don't understand. I feel like all Twitter is links to other things I'm supposed to click on. You know, it doesn't feel like there's any original content on Twitter. And I kind of do feel like, now that this person said that is kind of what Twitter has become. It's I'm sharing you my news that's over here. Go find it. Go see it. But it is still a really good way to quickly connect with people that you wouldn't connect with otherwise. Whereas Facebook is very personal for me, and it's a lot of people that I know in real life or that I'm friends with, or I have a established relationship with. Twitter is almost the exact opposite for me. Twitter is actually a lot of people who are following me because they like my articles or my news that I actually don't know at all, and that doesn't mean I can't get to know them through Twitter, but it is a very different vehicle and a very different driving force. NC Blogger Network and my content marketing, my Allison B. Carter, are the most important elements in my career right now, but I will say with my Go Dance for Mom, which is my personal creative writing site that Nicole alluded to, I have not been posting stuff on Twitter, and I have not been posting it very much on Google+, and I've only been putting it on my personal fan page, and my numbers have tanked. Twitter was actually a huge driving force for me personally on my creative writing stuff, in addition to my other stuff. I'm just trying to hone my messaging a little bit.
So what we're hearing is that on some of my websites, Facebook didn't work at all. On some, one it does, and Twitter didn't do good for this website for me for driving traffic, but it's doing good for driving traffic on one of Allison's websites. Google Plus, it sounds like hasn't worked for anybody, but I guess the point is I was in a mindset of where those things, they just don't work, they're worthless. But then it didn't work, and then boom, it did work. They did work for this one website. So the point is, I think that you need to try them. You need to give them a shot because they can be very valuable. As much as I hate to say that, especially about Facebook, it can be very valuable. Maybe it doesn't work with website A or website B, but boy, website C, it sure does work. So you got to try them. You shouldn't ignore them. Shouldn't poo-poo them.
Yeah, people are on social media channels to get social, and I feel as though in the past couple of years there have been so many bloggers and new blogs that have come out that it's really hard to get noticed as a blog. Even if you've been around for a while, it's hard to kind of gain new traction and new people unless you're really utilizing the social media outlets to try to reach them. And I think that that's the key to using social media as a blogger. If you're just putting your content on your blog these days, it's going to be really hard for people to find you because there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of traffic. We do have a DIY SEO Blogging 411 show that you can watch to try to figure out how to fine-tune how to be seen by Google, but I think that social media is a really powerful way to be seen now in a constantly cluttered market.
Now, what about Pinterest? We had a show last week about Pinterest. I had poo-pooed it and said, it's just a bunch of girls. And Cynthia convinced me to give it a try for this newest website, so I made a board or a pin or whatever you call it. I made an account, and I'm not sure that I get it. As far as traffic, in the last week, it's driven 3 visitors. That's 3 more visitors, I guess, than I would have had. But I don't really get it from the user's angle. Why, as a user, I'm still not clear, would I want to go in and see pictures of the Salton Sea or pictures of anything. I don't get it. It. In my old man brain, it's not clicking. So, ladies, explain to me quickly, because I know we did a whole show on it last week, and I still didn't get it. Just quickly tell me why Pinterest may be important.
I feel like this is Nicole's thing. I mean, she's got the Pinterest thing down. I love Pinterest because it's visual, and I use it as a way to save stuff that I want to reference later. But Nicole, how do you use it? Because I know you're much more active on it than I.
Well, as Cynthia alluded to last week, I love Pinterest as number one, a search engine, and I love using Pinterest to connect with people in ways that they wouldn't normally connect with me. Okay, so what I was telling, I was telling Randy last week after he literally jumped off of our call last week, started an account, announced to everyone, and then sent me 50,000 questions about what he's supposed to do. And so I'm going to explain some of those tonight. So what I was telling Randy last week was, you're walking around the Salton Sea. So there's a ton of people. So our second most pinned pin from Mom Complicated is one of Vanessa's articles on how to train for a triathlon. So I was telling Randy, you need to start talking about your equipment. You need to break down what you do. You need to break down what you eat. Connect with those people that want those to-do lists. They want those lists of like, okay, if I'm going to walk 10 miles today, or if I want to work up to doing something, this is how I did it. Talking about how articles about how he walked 3 miles and then he increased his mileage to 6 miles and how long that took, and all of those details are what people are looking for, and they want to pin that stuff so they can reference to it later. What he eats for breakfast, what he packs in his backpack. RV remodels are huge on Pinterest. They're a huge traffic driver. So talking about, they have an old RV that they're going to be redoing, so they need to be blogging about all of their stuff and talking about talking about how they fixed each item. If there's a seal that's broken, talk about that. How did you fix it? Give everyone the information on how you did it so they can pin it and it's their to-do now. And so that's how you're going to connect with those people. And yes, share all of your, Save Our Salton Sea and everything, and then talk about a lot of the great shots that you've been doing about, like, this is what it used to look like and this is what it looks like now, and the environmental awareness of all that. That's really important for Pinterest as well.
So you're saying that as a user, you said you use it as a search engine. So when you want to look up, you want to redo the blinds in the living room, you say you go to Pinterest and search for that instead of Google, or in addition to?
I do. So what I do first is I Google it, then I look into Pinterest, and then third I'll look on YouTube. And so that's my process of how I do things. And Pinterest is actually our second traffic driver for our Mom Complicated blog, which is pretty interesting because we talk about a lot of different things.
Well, maybe I need to start watching the Manly Pinterest.
Did you?
HOA
I was sending you links from Cynthia's website on on things. You need to start listening to all of her podcasts.
Yes, yeah. I did a search. I was searching for something how to do something on Pinterest. Just later that night, and the first one that came up, I didn't realize it was one of her articles. It was number one on how to how to pin something. It was something very basic. I was kind of surprised that, wow, she came up number one. She does know what she's talking about, apparently.
She does know what she's talking about. She's a Pinterest fancy pants, and she even has courses. I mean, she really does know her stuff.
Fancy pants. Yes.
She's a Pinterest fancy pants.
Okay, so let's talk.
I'm sorry, Nicole did bring up a really good point that I think it's worth addressing, is that when you're thinking about your content and you're thinking about, and this is the content marketer in me that comes out, when you think about your content, you should create content that people on various social media platforms will like. And this isn't saying, defy what your blog goal is, or defy what your voice is, or, get too far outside of which your blog's role is, or what the goal for your blog is. But at the same time, be thinking about the various social media platforms and what might play on social media platforms. I know sometimes I'll have a post that's probably going to be a really big hit on Pinterest, so I'll beef up those images, and I'll try to make sure that I'm doing posts like that a couple times a month. But then I know that there are some posts that actually probably won't play well on Pinterest, but the Twitter crowd is going to love them. And I kind of modify headlines, titles, tags, images, and to make sure that I'm kind of getting into the various social media platforms, because it is a different audience in each place.
That's a great point, and I apologize to everyone that's watching, and the video cameras are switching back and forth. We both, I came in because I broke the rules and I was a pain and I was late. I came in under the same account as Allison, and I think that's what's messing it up. So I apologize to everyone.
I'm in charge of the clicker, and I'm not very good at clicking, so that's.
Well, I think it might be negating your ability to click because I'm under the same account. Like it's just messing with you. So it's not Allison. Everybody, it is not Allison. So anyway, so that she does have a great point, but these are, it's a content marketer's thing where we say, like, what you're doing is not boring, and like, look at all these things that you could be talking about, and these are, they're building your story, they're helping people relate to you, they're going to help you reach new markets, and it's just like, when you type, it's just so wonderful that they auto-suggest things just like in Google, and it's going to help you figure out what your keywords are and whatnot. So I think you should hang out there for a while and really get to it. I've been following your blog, and I know that you write some lengthy blog posts, and sometimes they're really quick, and sometimes they're just snapshots of things. And so I know that you might not think that restoring the RV is going to be of interest to some people, but it really is, because there's so many RV enthusiasts out there. And I know that if I had a leak in one of my ceilings and I needed to fix it, I would totally appreciate somebody that already fixed it, talking about it.
Right. Well, I'm going to keep giving it a try. I'm just not sure that for this particular website, the audience is on Pinterest. I don't know. I'm not going to dismiss it, so I'm going to keep trying it. Before we run out of time, let's talk about the value or not of what two other quickies that the blogosphere says I have to be on. Instagram. So I got onto Instagram also at about the same time as I got onto Twitter, Google, and Facebook a few months ago. And that seems to me less of a value for driving traffic, because you really can't drive any traffic with Instagram, because I haven't figured out how to put a link in to spam somebody over to my website. But it is a great tool that I've been using it for. When I'm out in the middle of the Salton Sea and I want to take a picture of something and I want to share it with everybody on Facebook and Twitter, it's great that I can just do that, boom, one picture, and do it right through Instagram, and I can throw a filter on it and make it look decent. So I use it as a tool just for putting pictures on the other two on Facebook and on Twitter. And I do have a lot of followers on Instagram, or several followers, and I get a lot of engagement and a lot of feedback, a lot of the likes and everything, and that's great. It doesn't, help me much with my ultimate goal of sending them to the website, but it does help with, I guess, name recognition, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're following through, going over to follow me on Twitter or Facebook. So ladies, tell me, why do I need, other than using it as a tool like I do just for easily posting to multiple platforms, why would I need Instagram?
I'm majorly addicted to Instagram. It is my favorite social media platform of all time. And I was explaining a little bit before the program that I think, for me, what I tell people about Instagram is, no, it's not a direct driver to your blog. You can't really put links in there. You can say link in profile if you're trying to push a post, but what that then requires you to do, or is asking a visitor to do or a follower to do, is to take the time to click on your profile, then click on the link that's in your profile, probably while on their mobile device, to then go to a web browser that's going to open on their phone. It's very low odds that that's going to happen, but what I love about it is I get to know people that I decide to follow on a personal level. It's a lot more, you feel like you're friends with them, you feel like you're part of their lives, and it's a lot more branding. Kind of, Randy, what you were saying, you get that name recognition and you get people to understand who you are and what you're about in a really fabulous and unique way on Instagram that you can't do on other social media platforms. And I've had it happen before where I've been following somebody on Instagram for a while, and then all of a sudden I'll see something else from them and I'll say, oh my gosh, I know that person, I love that person, and then I'll go and I'll find them on all their platforms because their name is familiar to me. I feel like I know a little bit about their life, and I think that that's the key behind Instagram. Obviously fashion bloggers, totally different game because that's a visual thing. You tag brands, you hashtag brands, you work with brands. But for somebody like us and for me, it just is a really good way to drive that name recognition, get your profile out there, and make people understand what you're all about.
I would say, okay, I'm not going to ask you, but I would suggest that you watch the On Track Tips Instagram episode that we recently shared and that recently happened. They had some great points on there about how to drive traffic to your website.
Okay, I will watch that. But then my key audience has to be on Instagram, and I'm not positive that the 65-year-old men that are my main
Why are only 65-year-old
target
men interested in the Salton Sea?
No, it's not only. It's an older demographic, and I just don't. Well, I'm not going to poo-poo it. Obviously, I'm giving it a try. It's just a different demographic than with my other websites. It's an older demographic. So quickly before we're out of time.
I am constantly surprised and amazed by how different the demographic that I reach is when I actually start using the platform versus what I think is on there. Did that make any sense at all? So once I get in there and I start using it, I actually find out that there are a lot of people that I'm trying to connect with on there, and there are also a lot of people outside of the demographic I thought I was trying to reach that are fairly interested in what I have to say, which is always surprising to me. So I think until you really get in there and get your hands dirty, you might not really know.
Okay. So quickly then, tell me the last platform that all the expert bloggers tell me I have to be on. If I'm not on this, I'm just going to fail. LinkedIn. I haven't opened an account. I haven't bothered. It seems, I don't know, you guys tell me. Should I open a LinkedIn account, and will it drive gobs of traffic to my new website?
I was just a digital coach at a local marketing event, and I told everyone straight out, I said, when I get on LinkedIn, I act like a 2-year-old that hasn't had an app. I'm just like, I can't do it, I don't want to. So there are definitely reasons to be on LinkedIn. As a blogger, I think it's important to be on LinkedIn and have your information on there because brands are looking for you, and that's where brands are. So in one case, I feel like, so I would tell, that's like my blanket statement, like, yes, you should be on there if you want to work with brands. But I feel like you've been doing a great job utilizing Twitter, which is kind of like I would say it's almost like a casual LinkedIn. Like they've already been making contacts with you. Your target contacts that you want to make are media anyway. So if you don't want to do it, I say you don't have to.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn, for me, it's big because I'm looking for companies and I'm looking for organizations to connect with, and I will find a drive in traffic if I share a well-placed article and a well-written article within the right group that I've joined on LinkedIn. But if I just get kind of spammy on LinkedIn and I'm just constantly posting my own posts to my personal page on LinkedIn, I get nothing. So LinkedIn requires so much time, I think, to really do it right and to get the benefit and to get the traffic out of it, that unless you are making business contacts and unless you're trying to get into organizations, I personally feel as a hobbyist blogger or as a blogger who's trying to monetize from sponsored posts and that sort of thing and brands giving you reviews, that maybe LinkedIn isn't the place to spend all of your time, but I wouldn't discount it. People say it's up and coming. People say it's going to be huge. They say it's the next big thing. You go to conferences on this stuff that are, again, mostly businesses trying to digital marketing for their, what they do and for their clients, and LinkedIn gets a lot of play. But I would say that as a blogger, it might not be worth tons of time. Okay. Well, I think unless there's any major more information and knowledge that we've got to drop, I'm hoping I'm not making everybody seasick with all this clicking back and forth. Everybody okay?
We're good.
We are going to wrap up. Shoot us messages, shoot us comments. If you disagree with anything that we've said, if you think that we're brilliant, we always love to hear that. And then, of course, if you have any questions or follow-up information that you'd like to share for not just us, but the community for the Blogging 411 people, please pop into our Google group, share it, Google Hangout group, YouTube page, you can post it there, tweet at us, #blogging411, and we will be back next Wednesday with something amazing, I am sure. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for your time.